will help. Welcome to Face to Face, and today we're going to go to Chile. We're going to talk about the International to Ban Treaty of Nuclear Weapons, and I'm with Tomás Hirsch. Tomás, welcome back to Face, and you have good news this time.
Yes, thank you very much, David. I'm very happy to be again with you in Face to Face.
That's great.
My favorite program in the United States.
Yeah. So usually we have bad news, but it's looked like Chile is on the move lately because we had some interesting happening with the constitution and the new assembly, and then a few days ago, I think the deputies vote to on the treaty to ban nuclear weapons. No.
Well, yeah, that's true, David. We have had very good news in the last time here in Chile. Finally, after so many years, we are working now for this new constitution. And yesterday we had this very good news after waiting for a long time. Finally, we discussed the treaty in the parliament, in the Congress, and it was voted by unanimity, how you say? I mean, everybody voted in favor. So it was 130 yes and 0 no. Even it was 1 no, but was a mistake. Then she made a correction. Yeah. No, it was a mistake. So yes, we are very happy. It's a pity that it's a very long process, and now it must go to the Senate. And again, all the process back again, but I'm absolutely sure that it's going to be approved also in the Senate.
So meaning then it's going to go from 54 who have a country who have signed the treaty to 55, yeah?
Exactly. Now we are in 55. We tried that Chile was a part of the first 50 countries, but it's a very slow process. You know, the bureaucracy, we have 2 cameras, and that's why in the new constitution, we are proposing a 1-camera system. I hope this is going to make faster the process of approval of laws and treaties.
Just to give a sense of why the 50, the first 50 countries were to be ratified to the UN, you need to go over the threshold of 50 countries. So that's why Chile wanted to be part of that threshold. Yeah.
Exactly. In fact, I think it's a very good news because in Latin America, as you know, we were the first continent to sign a treaty related to the nuclear weapons, the Tlatelolco Treaty. That it's back on the 60s. But this one is very important because it's a world treaty, and it's much more precise. It talks about the prohibition. I mean, I think it's a much better treaty than the one that is the Tlatelolco one. But in fact, Latin America was the first continent in having a treaty related to the nuclear weapons.
So, and it's called a free zone, no? It's a free zone. Latin America is a free zone nuclear zone.
Exactly. No? That's the idea of the Tlatelolco. It's a free zone for producing. Of course, no one country is producing nuclear weapons in Latin America, but also there's it's a prohibition of having them or to have some vessels crossing the continent or the waters of the oceans in the near zone with nuclear weapons. But as I said, this one now, it's a worldwide treaty, and that's why it's so important. I hope this treaty take us to a world without any kind of nuclear weapon. That's at least our goal as humanists. I mean, we are completely convinced that we need a world that get out of any type of nuclear weapons on it.
And when you say the humanists have stand for many years on against nuclear weapon, can you give a little bit more detail of why nuclear weapons are not are not interesting for humankind? I mean, for the development of society.
Well,
basically,
as everybody knows, I mean, one of the most terrible situation in a war was the one in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That's the only opportunity in which nuclear weapons were used, and was a terrible tragedy, not only at that time, but it keeps going for many, many, many years, for decades. And even now, we know that there are people that are suffering from that, from the effect of what happened 70 years ago. So definitely, I mean, we would like a world without any type of wars. And that's why a humanist organism like a World Without Wars, it's working so hard for disarmament in all type of disarmament. But especially nuclear weapons can produce a danger to the whole humanity without any possibility of solving it.
So, because last week I had my guest and we talk about she has been arrested. She has been protesting in the US at the Trident base, naval base, against the nuclear submarine and so on and so forth. And what she say is her grandchildren doesn't know anything about nuclear weapons. Nobody talk about them. This is not on the news. It's not so. Where in the 60s and 70s it was more into, and with what you mentioned, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Yeah, everybody was very aware of the risk and the problem with nuclear weapon, where now nobody seems to be very aware of the situation of the nuclear weapon, where they are, how much it costs, how does it work, and so on and so forth. So I think we need to re-educate our newer generation on what is a nuclear weapon, and I hope the treaty will do that.
But it is interesting. It's very weird what happens, because the only time you hear something about nuclear weapons, it's related to North Korea or Iran, nothing else. But nobody talks about Israel. They have nuclear weapons. Nobody talks about England or United States or France or China or Russia. And they are the ones that keep all the nuclear weapons now. I mean, they are the most dangerous countries in the world, and they are in charge of the Security Council in the United Nations. It's a completely contradiction. So we talk about nuclear weapons only regarded to, well, North Korea, Iran, or maybe some other country. But we should talk as a humanity about those countries that they do have nuclear weapons now ready to operate them. And that's the most dangerous thing we are facing now as a humanity.
And the I mean, the funny part, it's 90% of all nuclear heads are between Russia and the US. I mean, the rest of the world, it's a very small percentage. It's a big risk, but it's a very small percentage of nuclear weapons.
Yeah, as I said, it's interesting to realize that we're facing a very strong risk of an accident. Even if maybe it's not a war, but it can be an accident, and we have been facing different type of accidents with nuclear energy or even with nuclear weapons. And as you say, those two countries still control 90% of the nuclear weapons. I think we should, as a humanity, to go fast to a denuclearization of this of our world.
Yeah. On top of it, you have the previous president, even under Obama, they were starting to develop more funding to expand and a little bit modernize the nuclear arsenal in the US, and I think Russia is on that trajectory also. So it becomes smaller, more powerful, and so the risk get even increased by the minute.
Yeah, maybe probably we all prefer Obama or Biden against Trump, probably, but all of them, they agree on having and keeping and developing the nuclear weapons. Republicans and Democrats, and Russia the same, with on the times of the Communist Party in Russia, and now in the times of Putin. So they agree and they keep developing nuclear weapons. So we have to work very strong and very hard all over the world in order to keep in mind that we are facing a very strong risk of an accident or a nuclear war.
Thomas, before we go, just few words about the new constitution and what is behind all of this.
Well, we are facing a very hopeful time now here in Chile. As you know, when I was a presidential candidate, I threw the old constitution to the trash, and that was a scandal. I'm talking back in 2005, not so many years ago, 16 years ago. And
I need the photo, Thomas. You need to send me the photo.
Yeah, it's at that time, everybody agreed that we need a new constitution, but nobody did anything for that.
Yeah.
After 16 years, there is I would say 90% of the people agrees that we need to cut this link to the dictatorship that is the Pinochet's constitution. Finally, we elected a team to write the new constitution. 80% of this team is for very deep modifications in the social, political, economical structure of this country. So we all hope that we are going to have very important changes in the natural resources, in the personal freedom, in the recognition of the indigenous people, in regarding to the property of the water, copper, lithium. I mean, there are many issues that we're going. Also, the relation between the different powers. I mean, we need to change the relation with the army. I mean, there are many things that, for the first time, we have the opportunity to change, and there is a big majority for that. So, yes, of course, because of that, we are very optimistic now.
So just before we go, can you explain the commission who has been people who have been elected, and it was a very diverse group of people who have been, and then we go. I promise.
Yeah, very short. I will try to be very short. In 2019, there was a very strong mobilization, mainly from the youth, but millions of people went out to the streets, making clear that we are living in a very contradiction situation, a country that sells itself as the top model of the neoliberalism, but there is a very bad situation for the majority of the people. Because of that, finally, the political elite agreed to ask to the country about if we want or not a new constitution. 80% of the people said, yes, we do want a new constitution. That was a plebiscite that we did in October last year. Because of that, now, recently, in May this year, we elected the team of 155 people to write this new constitution. And this team of 155 people, most of them are against, but very against, the situation that we're living now. So they are very committed for a deep change in this new constitution. That's why, because of this process, that we are now facing the opportunity for the first time in our life, in the Chilean history, to write a new constitution with two very specific characteristics. First of all, is a parity. I mean, 50% women, 50% men. First time in the world that the new constitution is going to be written in an equal number of men and women. Second, with the participation of the indigenous people. There are 15% of the elected people belong, by a specific law, belong to the indigenous people. So, of course, there is going to be a completely different view of how to write a new constitution.
Thank you so much, Thomas, as always. That was your show Face to Face, and keep who is watching your news on presenza.com, and we hope to hear very soon from you. Okay, thank you very much.